They shut down the toll booths of glory, 'cause we didn't endorse Christie. Sprung from cages on highway, now we got 3 lanes closed, so Jersey, get your ass in line. And man, I really gotta take a leak, but I can't. I'm stuck in Governor Chris Christie's fault, New Jersey traffic jam.
All right, I got to tell you, Jimmy Fallon makes a better Bruce Springsteen than Bruce Springsteen, I think. Joining us now is our friend Noel Sheppard, associate editor of Newsbusters.org on Malsberg's Media Madness. Hello, Noel.
Okay, I can't go along with that Fallon Springsteen. Come on now, let's get a grip here.
I mean, Springsteen's so old. I know we're all getting there, but my goodness, he's supposed to freeze in time.
No, hey, you know the Stones are out there still doing it, and I'm telling you, I've got friends that have gone, and they say they're still kicking it. So, geez, good for them.
Now,
I hope we're doing that well when that.
Yeah, you're telling me. All right, so the question is, you know, Christie could live with having to live in shame and not run for president and getting impeached as governor, but when his god, Bruce Springsteen, mocks him, then you know Christie's in severe depression.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine Chris was thrilled by this. The last time he was on Fallon, which was September of 2012, he talked about how he went to his first Springsteen concert when he was 13 years old.
Yeah. And
had been to 130 different concerts. And then he sings Thunder Road with Jimmy Fallon. Wasn't really all that good. But, you know, this is, they're all over this. It's really quite extraordinary where the Bridgegate has gone. You had earlier, I think it was yesterday, you had Chris Matthews saying that Benghazi isn't a scandal, but Bridgegate is. So I guess when an ambassador dies in Libya, and it's the first ambassador of ours to die on foreign soil or die of an attack in something like 40 years, that's not a scandal, but a traffic jam in New Jersey is a scandal. It's really amazing.
Well, they're all crazy, and you know, with the way they're covering this, and with the way they, Media Research Center's been doing story after story about how, you know, even when they talk about the Senate Intelligence Report on Benghazi and they blame the State Department, they never mention Hillary. So I mean, the fix is in on that, and you're right. It's outrageous, and wasn't it? I don't know if you wrote it at Newsbusters, but maybe not. Or I probably would have had it in my stack here, but Chris Matthews. On this controversy over the Sandy relief money going to an ad for New Jersey and Christie being in it. When Rand Paul took him to task for that several months ago, Chris Matthews called Rand Paul, said it was a piss-ant comment. He gets smaller and smaller all the time. But what's Matthews doing now? Now Matthews is taking Christie to task for it. The hypocrisy makes you want to have your head explode.
Yeah, you know, clearly they loved Christie, meaning the media. They loved him in 2012 after the Sandy superstorm. And they even liked him last year when he won because they were able to say, you know, this is a quote, moderate conservative or a moderate Republican crossing, reaching across party lines and doing what people in Washington should do, and et cetera. And they really all applauded his victory. But boy, it's been short-lived, and they've got the knives out now because I think at the time they didn't think he was going to be as serious a possible contender against Hillary, and they now know that he potentially is. So they have to kill him, and here we are. And obviously, I mean that figuratively.
Right.
But so here we are. We're in January of 2014. We're almost 3 years away from Election Day. 2 3/4, 2 9/10. And they're beginning to kill all of Hillary's competitors. This is just the start. Every person who throws his or her name into the ring is going to be treated this way.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's move on to Ed Schultz. Now, Ed Schultz had this to say a couple of days ago. You wrote about it. Here's cut number 15.
How can 190 members of Congress be wrong on this? That's how many who are opposing it. Even some Republicans are opposing this. But, of course, Republicans are afraid of me. They don't want to talk to me, but whatever. I'll talk to them if they want to talk about it because this is bad for workers.
All right. Now, It turns out, totally by coincidence, about 3 weeks ago or so, I asked Rich Carberry, our senior producer, if he would reach out to Schultz, because Schultz had said something. I said, reach out. I want to get this guy on if we can. So we did. We never heard back. Then Ann Coulter tweets out a message to Schultz at like 3 in the morning, saying, "Hey, you blankety blank, a P word. I'll come on your show. Have me on your show." And then I had Ann on yesterday, and I played for her this, which dates back to 2008, right before the presidential election. Schultz was in North Dakota. I was on the Fox and Friends studio, and he walked off the set. Let's give a look at cut 16.
Do you make more than 250, Ed? Does it make more than 250? Ed, does it make more?
You know, Steve, I didn't interrupt you, Steve.
I'm just asking a pertinent question.
This happens every time I go on the air with you.
Oh,
you
stop
always
complaining.
torpedo everybody.
But Ed, just to the point, are they right to attack him? Are they right to attack him? Would he leave?
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so he walked off the set. So that's what happens when conservatives do want to talk and engage with Ed Schultz.
Yeah, Ed has no interest in talking to conservatives, and I'm thrilled, or even just right of center. I mean, he doesn't even bring on rhinos. This guy, I'm really thrilled that Ann did this, because she's exposing what is MSNBC at this point. It really has exclusively become an echo chamber of far, far left talking points, and the only people that they allow on their programs who have an R next to them are folks that couldn't possibly win in a red state. They're folks that would exclusively win in a blue state, maybe. So, I don't think that we're going to hear anything from Ed. I don't think there's any chance he'll have her on. I don't remember the last time Matthews had her on. I think it's been a number of years. I don't think Morning Joe has had her on. Nobody wants to bring on. And what's interesting is I'd love to see her with Rachel Maddow. I think that would be a very, very interesting discussion between two very intelligent women from ideologically different perspectives. And I think the audience would love it. But this isn't where MSNBC is at this point. MSNBC is just a far left talking echo chamber. And it's the ratings continue to plummet. I honestly think that if the Republicans take over the Senate, the Republicans take over the Senate in November, and MSNBC's ratings continue to go down, I think Phil Griffin conceivably could get the axe in 2015. I mean, how long are they going to sit around? When I say they, I mean the heads of NBC, the heads of Comcast, and watch their clocks get cleaned by Fox. I mean, it's got to just be, they've got to just be offended by it. So we'll see. I don't think they're going in the right direction.
No, we've established that, I think, in show after show, and your astute analysis of where they're going, and that's down. Okay, let's talk about something that took place New Year's Eve, and there was a lot. I found the New Year's Eve coverage to be quite disturbing on CNN with Kathy Griffin. I can't believe they keep bringing her back, and you've written about that. And then I found the coverage on Fox to be kind of bizarre too. And one girl cursed, and the reporter down in Florida, I forget his name, instead of saying "uh-oh" and throwing it back, he went to another girl, and then he said to her, "I'll see you after the show." And the whole thing was too loose for me. Maybe I'm just too old. But on NBC, the New Year's Eve special with Carson Daly as the host, he had on an actress, and this is going to be cut 10, and she mocked the survivors, the soldiers who survived Pearl Harbor and are still living. Campbell Soup had done something on Pearl Harbor Day concerning SpaghettiOs, and this actress, Natasha Leggero, said this in that scene New Year's Eve on NBC. Here it is.
On Pearl Harbor Day, they sent out a tweet featuring their mascot holding an American flag, asking people to, quote, take a moment to remember hashtag Pearl Harbor with us. It offended a lot of people, corporations glomming on to sentimental American historic traditions, seemingly looking for people in business, and it wasn't good. But you were offended for another reason.
I'm offended because they're referring to SpaghettiOs as pasta.
I mean, it sucks that the only survivors of Pearl Harbor are being mocked by the only food they can still chew.
All right, I thought the guy laughing was going to throw up, but so then she when the story broke, she tweeted out, she said, "I'm not sorry." And as you broke the story, offending those World War II vets and the Pearl Harbor survivors and saying, "I don't apologize," gets her a job on Comedy Central.
Yeah, actually, she's already a commentator there. She goes on a variety of shows, but now she's been given her own pilot for a new series, which she is creating, writing, and starring in. And they're giving her a stand-up special. So this is really, in my view, quite an extraordinary statement by Comedy Central, where this woman was on, and this ended up going to the Drudge Report, so we got a lot of attention. She got a tremendous amount of negative feedback on Twitter and Facebook and other social media. And what does Comedy Central do? 14 days later, they give her a pilot and a stand-up special. I don't know what world we live in. I really don't.
I don't anymore. And I'd like to just attribute it all to the abomination that we're living in. But this I think would happen no matter who was in the White House. This is just really sick. But let's something that was very funny on late night TV, and that was Jimmy Kimmel. You wrote about this one, and he just went after Obamacare with a vengeance, and they had this mock commercial ad aimed at young people. And you give a listen. Here's Jimmy Kimmel's talking about how the Obamacare needs to sign up young people, and they're targeting young people in their ads, and he put out this mock ad. Here's 29.
But just to make sure the younger people do sign up, the Obama administration is rolling out a new ad campaign that's targeted specifically at the young and vibrant.
Hi, I'm Alex, and this is my wife, Martha. And we're both approaching the big 6-0.
And we have health care issues to deal with.
I take blood pressure medication.
And Levitra.
Yes, and Martha's got beta blockers and something for her osteoporosis. It's not cheap.
But fortunately, we don't have to pay for it.
No, you do.
That's right. You young people are paying for our drugs and our doctors.
Not to mention our Social Security and our Medicare when we retired at Boca. And you know why?
Because you don't vote.
And we do.
That's right. Hope you enjoyed that Burning Guy Festival.
Come on, Martha. Let's go find that Levitra.
Oh, Alex.
The Affordable Care Act. Next time, maybe pick up a newspaper.
A newspaper, FYI, is like an iPad.
A newspaper, FYI, is like an iPad. Boy, he really went after them.
No, and what's beautiful is, so then they come back and he's talking about, and this, of course, is Kimmel, he's talking about the new revelation about how Medicare between 2006 and 2011 had spent $172 million on penis pumps, purchasing 500,000 penis pumps for senior citizens for erectile dysfunction. And he says, I don't want to be reactionary. I mean, this seems a little bit peculiar for our government funds to be spending on. But some people are happy. So then he brings back Alex and Martha, and they're now in bed with the penis pump. And he's thanking young people for buying the penis pump. And he says, it's just, that Kimmel did this really surprises me. I mean, I've been reporting for several months that Leno has been all over the Affordable Care Act and all over Obama. Even what's his name, David Letterman has come after Obama. And I don't know what Kimmel's politics are, but this was a good 4-minute-long segment really exposing how basically young people in America who support Obama and support Obamacare, forgive me, are woefully uninformed, don't understand that this is not benefiting them, that it's money coming out of their pocket, and that if they just picked up a newspaper, and the tagline ends, maybe you should read a newspaper. They just picked up a newspaper and informed themselves a little bit. But I also, as you know, I blame this on the media. If the media, I'm very, very thrilled that Kimmel and others are going after Obama now and going after Obamacare. But you know that if in 2009 and 2010 they had exposed all of these elements then,
right,
then it's quite conceivable that the phones and the email would have been going off the hook at at Capitol Hill,
and it never would have gotten the necessary votes.
There's no way this bill would have passed.
Yeah, passed with like one vote in each chamber. You're absolutely right. I want to finish up with the bad news, I guess, and that is that HBO has rehired Bill Maher for a 13th season, notwithstanding the calls to the contrary from the likes of Bill Donahue and others. And here's just a little you in your piece trumpeting this. You put links to many of the shall we call them hits of Bill Maher. I chose this one. Here's cut 26.
Just last week, Sarah Palin said, "There is no Ronald Reagan on the scene today. If he was, that's who I would put my faith in." That's quite a hold on someone. After all, when Reagan was elected, Sarah Palin was barely 16, probably pregnant, but still in 3rd grade.
And that's, one of the tamer, disgusting ones we could have pulled out.
And I'm not sure if it was from that show or a subsequent one where he commented that Ronnie called his wife mommy.
Yeah.
Okay, and he said that in a derogatory tone.
Yeah, a man who had sex with a woman he called mommy.
With a woman he called mommy. HBO at this point, they've staked out their position, and their position obviously is very, very far to the left, and rather than censuring this man and I think that I must have linked, Steve, maybe 25 really disgusting things that he said just last year alone that for most people on television certainly would have gotten them censured, maybe suspended, maybe fired. But at HBO, for saying these kinds of things about conservatives, and especially conservative women, you get a contract extension.
Yeah, and by the way, we should also note that he owns a minority share of the New York Mets as well. He's the main reason I don't have HBO. I mean, I won't pay his salary. There are other reasons too, but I will not pay his salary. And even though I'd like to see the Mets do well, and he wouldn't benefit financially that much if they do or don't, but I just find it really vulgar that he's a minority owner of the Mets. I just think it's disgusting.
And yet the left went nuts when there was rumors that Rush was going to be purchasing something in the NFL. Yeah. They went nuts. That was wrong.
Of course. Just like Christie's wrong and Hillary's right. Anyway, Noel, we could spend the rest of the weekend banging our heads against the wall, but I choose not to. Anyway, thank you, sir. We'll look forward to talking to you next week, and we'll read you at newsbusters.org. Until then.
See you later, sir.
Thank you. Noel Sheppard, associate editor of newsbusters.org. Right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Malzberg's Media Madness. That's the segment. Write it down. Tell your friends. We're coming back. Next hour, by the way, Elliot Abrams will be here. James Carville and Mary Matlin will be here. And Christina Hoff Sommers, the author of Who Stole Feminism and the War Against Boys. All that straight ahead on your Friday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The